Welcome to an in-depth analysis of transformational counterpoint in the third act of Tristan and Isolde. This is a follow-up video to my previous Tristan analysis and will rely heavily on knowledge and motifs previously discussed and contextualized. I highly recommend a full watch or maybe even a rewatch of that before engaging with this at all, so it will be linked in the description. In this video, we are going to decode, so to speak, a specific climactic moment in the third act with the goal of, after analyzing its parts, hearing it with newfound depth and understanding. We will do this by getting to know each individual motif and how these undergo variation leading up to the moment, so we can hear the structure in full and understand its totality. It's a moment of great simultaneity where no less than 5 motifs coincide over a duration of only a few seconds, and will therefore be quite hard to fully hear without proper examination. I will quickly gloss over the motifs that are included, which also appeared in the former video, and spend most of the time discussing the new motifs and their subsequent developments. First, let's hear this moment in full, and after that I will successively isolate each of the new motifs and delve into their adaptations, to then later return to this particular surface structure and see if we hear something anew. But first, here it is. Okay, there we have it. Let's get to work. First, but definitely not the least, we will go over this material found in the woodwinds. While I don't intend to delve too deep into this opera's philosophy and narrative, since I want to spend most of our time on actual music and sounds, it is integral to understanding this part's main function in the third act. At the opening of Act 3, Tristan has been brought back to his ancestral castle in Brittany, after being wounded by Melot. He is physically alive, but inwardly suspended between worlds. A shepherd watches the sea for Isolde's ship to arrive. His mournful tune signals whether a vessel appears. This motif enters before Tristan fully re-emerges with speech or action. Wagner lets us hear Tristan's world first. Desolate landscapes, wind, waiting, consciousness drifting. Wagner uses it here almost as the sound of the soul calling across space. It feels rural, solitary, like a shepherd's instrument, yet inward and personal enough to become Tristan's inner voice. Act 3 is often heard in this way, as Tristan's interior consciousness externalized. And this motif, through its transformations, is the deepest we ever get into his psyche. A tune which he heard in his childhood, symbolizing home, familiarity, and adolescence, become the material for which his anguish is externalized. The main parts of this folk song is made up of 3 distinct motifs. First, a longing fanfare-like exposition. Secondly, consecutive fourths. And lastly, this triplet motif. The triplet motif is very easy to localize when it's utilized and does not appear in the moment we are working towards, so let's focus on the main opening of the motif. Let's look at the first contrapuntal example of this video. Keep in mind that these surface structures are quite intricate and at times difficult to grasp without sufficient exposure, but I will do my best to describe them. Many minutes before the moment we are working towards, this S motif appears first coupled with the D motif visited in my previous video. Here is an example of them separate and then played together. In the following example, we will hear them together like this for 2 iterations. After this occurrence, the S material emanates from the last note of the A motif at its high point, following a Tristan chord, as we know so often appears in synchronicity with the A motif. After this, the initial notes of the S motif are repeated like a sighing echo, followed by a restatement of the D and S motif together. Try to hear the marriage between these voices and localize the materials instead of just appreciating the surface. Directly following this, we hear the S motif coupled with a material first introduced all the way back in the first act. It is derived from the B motif. Simply by transforming the initial sixth into a unison repeated note. And subsequently repeating the descending chromatic line in a syncopated manner. Here Isolde sings it in unison with the first violin. Later, we hear it in the first viola, and then transposed by the interval of a second in the violins. All of it accompanied by an absolutely beautiful restless cello line that I have taken the liberty to point out in the score. Now, familiar with this for us new transformation of the B motif, let's go back to Act 3 and hear it together with the S motif. This following example is extremely slow. Just think about how sluggishly these both motifs creep over perceived time. We will hear them in the original minor key in clarinet and violins respectively, sandwiching, if you will, our first contrapuntal example of S and D in woodwinds and horns. And after that, all motifs mentioned, plus the triplet motif, simultaneously transformed into major. Now let's look at the third and last motif that we will need to familiarize ourselves with to understand our final objective. To give context to this motif, we will actually start by looking at a later moment in the third act, as it is a main motif during Isolde's late arrival and King Marke's mourning at the end of the act. Here it is very nakedly represented in the oboe and Isolde's voice. Let's hear it continually transposed, with the rhythms diminished during King Marke's mourning. And now let's backtrack to find it leading up to the last surface structure. Here it appears shortened or interrupted, if you will. The ambitus is unaltered, but the diminished triad of the later transformation has been warped into a chromatic line. Listen in this example to the upper woodwinds especially. Just 2 bars later, it appears with the A motif played by the horns and lower trumpets. And finally, we have arrived at the moment. I will now play all the motifs separate in score order to get some clarity, before hearing them all together in this climactic contrapuntal high point. In the woodwinds, we have our S motif from the opening of the third act. In the brass, connected with the initial notes of the other motifs, we find the Tristan chord as a result. In the lower trombones, we find the tail of the B motif as first heard in the first prelude. In the strings, bass clarinets and bassoons, we find our varied G motif. In the trumpet, we find the A motif. And in the aftermath of all this simultaneity, in the horns, we find the D motif, connected to one final Tristan chord. Let's hear it, and be free to replay this section to notice all of its gorgeousness. For now, I don't think there is anything left to say. This surface structure speaks for itself. I hope you found this deconstruction to reconstruction informative and enjoyable. And until next time, thank you for listening. Julie.